Before we get into the podcast today, I want to talk about a really cool service that I tried with one of my players called Champs IQ. Kind of confusing because it's spelled different. So it's Champs and then EYE and the letter Q. So Champs IQ compared to Hockey IQ here, the podcast. Really, really cool. You submit 10 minutes of edited game footage. Their expert analysts evaluate the player across more than 15 key performance attributes. You get an overall rating, a projection against NCAA Division I potential, and just real clear actual priorities. So you know exactly what to focus on next and where to put your time. Especially in the summer, there's so much time to figure out what should I be doing. I think Champs IQ is a great way to think about where do I need to put my time? What's the next thing that needs to be knocked down that I can take off in my game? Champs IQ bridges that gap, takes that guesswork out. You get the detailed, specific, accurate assessment. Really, really cool. Recommend it. If you go to their website, www.champsiq, and remember that's EYEQ.com, use the coupon code HockeyIQ, spelled just IQ, Hockey IQ. Use that. 10% comes off your bill on your submission. I recommend it. Did it with my player, had a great experience. Check it out. On the Hockey IQ podcast, today we're going to talk about making the movement up the levels. I coach high school hockey here in Columbus, Ohio. So I want to talk about the three things I've been chatting about with a lot of our incoming players about what it means to take that next step. So number one is physical. This is the most obvious. Difference between a 14 and 18-year-old is massive. You've got pre-puberty, post-puberty, and full-strength adults. So it's a massive, massive thing to overcome. So one thing with that jump is to understand, okay, when do I start training? And you can start training a lot earlier than you think you can. You can put some weight on. All the research I've seen, nothing affects the growth plates when we're talking about strength training and muscle training. So we could really be doing this from a young age all the way through the rest of our lives. So I recommend training consistently, really making sure we're being safe in the gym, in our movements, making sure that we've got good posture, stacked weight, etc. Super, super important. Making sure that we're building up that base, that athletic base, that physical base, kind of the hardware of our athlete, so they are ready to make that step from youth on to high school, on to beyond. Physical, physical, physical. It's such a big deficit to overcome that if you're not working on it, it's going to be very hard to play the game how you want to play it, at the pace you want to play that game, etc. So number one, and the most obvious, is that physical piece. Train, train, train. We want to worry about leg strength, especially single leg strength. We want to worry about the ability to hold a puck, catch hard passes. So a lot of wrists, arms, things like that. Core is super big deal as well, just as we're thinking about holding postures, especially through skating. So when you're thinking about single leg strength, you're thinking about core strength, you're thinking about wrist and forearms. Those are kind of the main hockey ones we're going to talk about when we're talking about how do we level up these big rocks. Obviously, there's all the small ones that go into that, but those will be the three big ones that we really, really want to key in on as we're making that jump up to the next level. So number one, physical. Number two, touched on it with the wrist strength, is just being able to hold and catch hard, heavy passes. I'm going to call them heavy because that's the weighting of that puck. It's coming to very heavy, and you've got to unload that puck and get it under control. So with that, we want to be able to do it on our forehand, but we also want to be able to do it on our backhand. We want to be doing it standing still. We want to be able to do it within movement. So all of these things play into being able to play with our teammates. So whether it just be something as basic as going across the rink and firing pucks as hard as we can to each other, to adding a level of movement where you're catching passes coming from behind you, coming from the side of you, coming from ahead of you. All of these different passes and how they must be corralled is massive, massive, massive. So heavy passes, forehand, backhand with movement, super important to be able to control. I also add in there being able to pick up picking up rimmed pucks. So figuring out whether if you're a winger, whether you're a centerman, whether you're a defenseman, whatever those common areas, just get comfortable in those common areas of picking up rimmed pucks. They're so common. You're going to see them at all levels of the game. Figure out, how do I control it, and how do I make the next play? How do I get off the wall? Super important. The story I want to give about this is just one about a freshman that we had this past season. And because he struggled to catch passes, it actually affected the way that he played the game. So if you can't catch passes, you're often going to find loose pucks. That's how you're going to get your pucks, because you're not going to be able to really play off the pass. So you're going to go figure out and sniff in areas in which you're normally going to see loose pucks. So whether it be battles, and you're really going to kind of trail the play because you have to. You're not getting out in front of it because you're not going to get those pucks anyway. So you're trailing the play consistently. You're behind the pace of play. So it's a really, really big struggle if you can't catch and give these passes. You need to be able to play with your teammates. So freshman comes in, he struggles with that. He's chasing the play consistently. He's getting frustrated. He's not seeing the pucks that he used to see at the younger levels. And it was something that we talked about with him. Like, you're going to need to evolve your game to going from sniffing these loose pucks to playing in spaces where you could get a puck. You're not guaranteed to get a puck, but you're likely to get a puck. And it's from getting those passes to your teammates. And this is a really smart freshman. He's going to be an awesome player. So he was able to actually think and see these things. But with his current skill set, he wasn't able to get there yet. So first half of the season, he was probably scoring about every third game, goal and assist. By the end, once we got him up to par with being able to catch and get hard passes, that was about mid-season. And then back half of the season was starting to go into all of these different spots that he can get passes, where he may cause the turnover, but he's not going to go stop and get that puck. He's going to continue his route to go back door, knowing this puck's going to go to one teammate and then over to him. So he's starting to play two steps ahead, and boom, wouldn't you know, he goes from about a third to, by the end of the season, playing at a 2-point-per-game pace, which for a freshman is unbelievable. So simply because we overcame the physical limiter of the heavy passes, we actually evolved the way that he was able to play the game and thus work with his teammates, and led to a lot more goal scoring. So simply just by giving and receiving heavy passes. Jump number 3 that I really see between youth and high school hockey in our area is what I call playing in the future. So most hockey is played away from the puck, right? There's only one puck. You've got 10 skaters, 2 goalies. So most of your time is going to be off of the puck. Well, the question is, when do you actually start playing hockey? Are you waiting around for that puck to get to you, and now I'm going to go skate as hard as I can and try to make something happen? Or are we playing in the future where I'm skating and I'm going to spots early with the hope of getting a puck, or even just making the passing possible? Like for me, I call it playing in the future. Stole that from Marty St. Louis, who was on the Hockey IQ podcast. You know, playing in the future. You want to play where the puck is going, not where it has been. So constantly playing in the future of where's this puck going to go? Make it possible for the passing to happen as a receiver. You know, if someone off the puck isn't skating into the space, the pass isn't even possible. You can have the best passers in the world, but if no one's skating on the other end of it, the passing all breaks down. So we need to have players playing in the future and playing in the future consistently. So don't wait around. You need to have your head on a swivel looking around to figure out, okay, what's the most likely situation? Oh, the strong side is gumped up. There's a lot of density of players there. Okay, well, maybe I need to flare out wide because the puck's likely to come there. So being able to play in that future, be skating, pick up speed, create differentials, create positioning advantages off of the puck. So when we do get that puck, or we actually just spread out the opposition, now when our team has the puck, more possibilities are there, more threats are there, things that the defense is going to have to struggle with. Got to answer all those questions that we're presenting them of, am I going to cover this guy? Am I going to push back? Am I going to hold the blue line? All things that lead into advantages for our team. So when we're thinking about teaching this, it's a matter of you've got to go to places where passing is made possible. You're not always going to get that puck, but you need to make those runs. You got to make those skates. make things open up for your teammates. You may not get the assist on the play, but you're the reason the play was even available in the first place, and we're going to celebrate you. So constantly celebrating that work away from the puck that consistently goes into creating great offense. So to recap those 3 points, number one, we've got to continuously work at the physical piece of it. Upgrade our hardware as much as humanly possible, working on it consistently. It's not just the 1 or 2 times a week or 3 times a week your team has lifting and training. You should be doing that 5 to 7 times a week. Number two, we've got to be able to work with our teammates, work within our team. And the way that you do that is you got to pass. So we got to be able to catch passes, corral the puck, catch those heavy passes, forehand, backhand, with movement from different angles, rimmed pucks. And number three, playing in the future, where we're no longer waiting for the puck to get to us. Now we're looking, now we're doing stuff, now we're skating. We're actually going to spots early and often, making those good reads, getting to those spaces, making the passing possible. Super, super important. Another thing I want to talk about when it comes to going up the levels is just the idea of puck management. A lot of times you can throw pucks away and it's not going to be an immediate threat. The play isn't fast enough physically, whether it be skating or passing forward. Those pucks often end up in the back of your net. As you go up, that puck gets zipped out there. So now we've got to think about, okay, if we make a turnover, where is this turnover? Because it can immediately turn back before you even have a chance to blink and be in your net. So when we think about puck management, it means where are we placing the puck? When are we retaining possession? And the way I like to think about puck management is just to boil it down into 2 different pucks. You've got a puck that you're going to manage and maintain, so a possession puck. So we just want to simply possess it. Or number 2, we've got an attack puck where we can go and make something with this puck. We can take a little bit more risk. Last person back, obviously it's very much a possession play. You're not going to take too many risks. But similarly, do you want to take a risk on the blue line as your team's going for a change? Definitely not. That would be a difference between good puck management and bad puck management. So how do we make sure that we're putting these pucks into spaces as well? So the one is, when do I do something risky versus I don't? But the second piece is, where am I placing this puck? Where am I doing my puck with intention? Which space? So we create advantages for our team. You don't just dump a puck and change. You place it to a spot where there might be at least some pressure on that puck from your teammate, where there's going to be an issue with the team having to make a direct stretch pass. So if I'm going in, my team's going for a line change, I'm going to throw that puck maybe hard rim if I'm on the far side of the ice. So it comes up that strong side. One, it's a hard rim. That's going to be difficult for them to corral. But number 2, I'm throwing it into the side of the ice where that change is coming from. So that would be one idea when we're thinking about being intentional about where do we throw pucks. Like, every puck should have some intention around it, especially as we're seeing freshmen going towards senior year. Like, freshmen usually just throw the puck. Hopefully by senior year, they've got some level of intention to it. Cross-corner dumps, soft chip to speed. Even just like a chip to speed, it'll be absolutely massive. So when we're thinking about puck management, where do we take a risk? When don't we? How are we throwing pucks that it's going to be harder on them, easier on us? Big difference there between putting something in our advantage versus the other team's advantage. Another piece that I commonly see is just an issue with the space and time shrinking. So I'm going to just kind of call it the mental space. Like, you have to process things quicker. You have to execute faster. So I like rondo possessional games. So think monkey in the middle. And usually I'll start real simple before we build it up, where you've got 4 or 5 guys on the outside of the circle trying to keep possession of the puck. You got 1 or 2 players in the middle trying to get the puck back. Well, often what you see with players that aren't as comfortable, the game's a little bit slower or a little bit faster in their head, so they haven't slowed down the game yet for themselves, is they'll tend to just back up from the circle. And even when you're like, keep your feet on the circle, they'll continue to sleep back up. They're unable to process the game fast enough, the information in front of them fast enough. So what do? They try to give themselves more space. Well, okay, that's great, but now you're slowly taking yourself out of the interior of the ice, the dangerous areas. So just trying to slow the game down as much as possible. And one of the big things that comes with this, and that mental space, feeling it's super crowded and the game's super fast, is just regular ice awareness. These are the players time and time again, I see that don't scan the ice. They are not looking around before the puck gets to them. And the game feels like a mile per minute. Like, it's just so freaking fast. They don't have the mental time and space to think about what possibilities are. So even when they do get the puck, they're making the simple play, or they're just dumping it out and hoping for another day. I'm going to go forecheck. So with those types of players, we're trying to put them in spaces where they're crunched. They're going to have to be looking around, but also being very specific about, you need to scan more often. Here are the spots. Your goal for these next 2 weeks in this training block is you simply just need to become the most aware player on the ice. How do you do that? Boom, we need to scan more. We need to look before we get the puck. We have to have an idea what we're going to do with the puck before we even get it. So helping that game slow down by allowing them to acquire that information, understanding where the players, the pressure, the opposition's coming from, letting them understand and putting them in situations in practice where they have seen those opportunities in the past, maybe they haven't executed, highlight them and say, hey, let's go again. It's okay to fail, but don't be afraid of, in the rondo, for example, going in the middle because you were the cause of the turnover. Get it back. Be better next time. Making sure that we're not cheating ourselves and we're giving ourselves the best opportunities to develop by putting ourselves in spots where we're going to have failure. And that's one of the next pieces I want to go to is that mental piece of it. Is you get 14-year-old freshmen, they're physically smaller, they haven't had the experience. This game's never been this fast for them, physically and mentally. Giving them that space to understand, like, it's okay. It's okay to fail, it's okay to try, but we want to get better. The problem is when we're making the same mistake over and over and over. Where we want to be is allowing those mistakes to happen, learn from them, and move on. So, mistake protocol. Admit to the mistake, number one. Number two, apologize for the mistake, which we may or may not need depending on the situation. Number three, learning from that mistake so we can be better next time. And number four, pressing on. We don't need to dwell on it. Learn from it, press on, get back in it. The players that do this the best are the ones that just have that assertive, not going to be stopped. Problems where you've got the slow learner where it's constant rumination on a mistake rather than moving on. Take the lesson, now I'm going to be a little bit better. It wasn't perfect the next time, but it was better. Or I took a step back, here's why, I'm going to be better next time. Those players that have that assertiveness, those are the players that may not come in with the pedigree you would expect, but eventually end up passing a lot of these players that may have been playing at a higher level. So, for example, you've got an A player who's willing to learn, look like an idiot, try things, fail, grow, and continuously learn. That player will easily, over the course of a year or 2 years, surpass the AA kid who is scared to make a mistake. I've always been the better player and isn't putting themselves out there in those tight situations where they're learning and growing, or they have that sense of, like, I want to be the cool kid. I want to be a part of the group, but they just haven't earned it yet. They haven't gone out, hit those bumps and bruises, had that failure, the learning opportunities that the other part of the group has. So making sure that if you're out there and having conversations, whether it be a coach, parent, or player, understanding that failure is a part of it. We want to continuously be making new mistakes. That's a positive thing. And then just constantly pressing on, not dwelling on the past. The past is not something we can change. We just need to be assertive for the future and pressing on to the next thing. Big difference with the slow versus the fast learners, those that tend to do very well versus those that struggle until they have the maturity to figure out this, even if we've been having conversations. So there's a big maturity piece of this, and how do we help them mature and getting them thinking, understanding these things, because it may not be as fast as we want it to be, but it is something that is a reality, and it's part of the learner rather than so much the environment. But the environment plays such a big piece of it, of just making sure we've got that psychological safety to it. Last thing I just want to talk about is very specific to defensemen. So when we're talking about leveling up, the number one from a kind of tactical standpoint is just pivoting. So defensemen, when we're going from backwards to forwards. So a lot of times the players grow up and they're constantly just chasing the puck. You think about the youngest when they learn to play, they all just chase the puck. No one spreads out. Similarly, when you're talking about pucks, so whether that be a puck getting dumped behind you, which we'll use in this example, we'll just follow the puck. So if the puck gets dumped to the boards, they're going to turn with the puck into the boards right away and chase that puck down. Well, that's great, but not exactly what we're looking for when we're trying to play a game that has opposition there. Rather, a lot of times we want to pivot, let the forward commit to which side they want to go into, which one they want to forecheck on, and pivot into that space. So you're gaining the body positioning. You're slowing down the opposition. So if you're going to go on that puck, you're slowing them down. You're controlling them into that puck. If it's your teammate that's coming over and doing some partner work to retrieve this puck, well, now you're shielding them. You're controlling the speed for your teammate and allowing us to get first touch, make better plays, making sure we're not getting injured. Nothing worse than a player dumping the puck in, having no shielding, and then blowing up the defenseman. I've seen broken collarbones time and time again on this. I've seen so much from an injury, lost breakout, immediately goals scored against. Just the pivot of understanding we need to be able to control the player, control the players, making sure you're getting clean feet. So something where we're not crossing over too much when we're making our pivots, control the player in the line, then go retrieve the puck. So for defensemen, biggest thing I see from youth is just around controlling the player, controlling that line to the puck, controlling the speed, being safe, talking about working together as a partnership for the defensive side. So something I really would like to key in on, because we talk a ton about our defensemen working together. And for us, that's something super important, is just making sure that we're controlling the forecheck. So now we're trying to get them not to dump the puck in. We're now pucks are in front of us. We've got back check that can catch them. And if they do dump it, because we're going to be so hard on the back check, we have to be able to control that, because that's going to be the best option for teams. You hear coaches talk a ton about playing behind the defense, getting pucks deep. Okay, well, that puck's going to go there. Coaches are going to key in on that. Now, what's our strategy for getting that back? So having a plan, being able to pivot properly, control the forward check is a big difference maker as you go up, and the tactics become more and more important, something that's keyed on more and more. So really specific for the D, but also the forwards can help just rub and shield players out, making sure that we're controlling the speed and keeping safety along with increasing performance. So hopefully that's helpful for anyone out listening as we're going from youth hockey to juniors, youth hockey to AAA, AA to AAA, whatever that next step is, that next level is that you're playing. In my case, it's going to be going from youth to high school, helping those players make that jump, coaching them through it, bringing the things up that they need to be thinking about. And hopefully everyone has that experience where I had with the player this year, which started extremely slow, couldn't put him at the top of the lineup playing with the best players, to being able to play and be on the leadership board, or the leaderboard for the local hockey conference, where he's being a difference maker. He's scoring overtime winners, and it's because he made a few things that we keyed in on in that development path that pretty much every player goes through. And we can hopefully get them through it as fast as possible and on to the other side. We're dealing with even bigger and better problems that really we're talking about performance at a higher and higher level, rather than some of these foundational pieces that we need to overcome. So hopefully these basic pieces key in on what you can work on this summer, and then hit out of the ballpark, have some fun, and have some success right away at whatever that next level is for you.
That concludes this week's episode. Thanks for joining us here at Hockey IQ. If you haven't already, take a quick moment to hit that subscribe button, give us a thumbs up, and drop a review. If you want to be a great teammate, even recommend us to a friend. You can follow us at Hockey's Arsenal on Twitter and Instagram. Check out the website, hockeysarsenal.com, where you can subscribe to the weekly newsletter. You won't regret it. Catch you beauts here next week for a brand new episode.